Give me a sec.
Today is Velociraptor Awareness Day, and while I don't know much about velociraptors,
I love Rob Wheatoff. He's so funny. Because he said that about, like, COVID lockdowns and stuff, and, like, you should stay inside because there might be velociraptors about. But then someone, like, edited that audio over, like, footage of John Marston just doing things on the ranch. And it's funny. Footage of John Marston. Okay, so I don't know if this beta's still open because I checked when they did a RE8 announcement, like, I think a day ago. They said that... Wait, let me try and find it. So there's a new trailer thing that we got. It was kind of like a mini trailer to say that a new showcase was coming on the 15th. 4 days ago.
Wow, Ethan Winters.
So it shows us Heisenberg's factory and then the
Hey
witch
everyone,
daughters
we're
like
Gabe
slaying
Robots
Ethan's
here.
wrist.
Capcom's given you a look at a new trailer and gameplay for Resident Evil Village, along with a few other surprises as well. In the meantime, the open beta...
So the open beta test for Resident Evil Reverse in Europe it is April 8th to April 11th. So I don't know if this beta is still open. If it isn't, then we'll just say that it was a mistake. But yeah, this is the multiplayer that's going to be included with Resident Evil Village, so I'm going to be able to play it anyway. I don't think it's really my type of thing because I don't usually like multiplayers anyway. I haven't even tried Resistance yet on Resident Evil 3 Remake. I haven't tried that at all, but it kind of reminds me a bit of like Dead by Daylight or Friday the 13th, where like you're playing as, well, someone gets to play it as a villain, so you play as like Mr. X or Nemesis or I don't know, someone else, or like Wesker, someone like that, and then you play as like different survivors and you have to basically just survive. So yeah, it is a lot like Dead by Daylight or Friday the 13th. But yeah, so I haven't even tried that yet, so I doubt I'll like this because this is basically the same thing. You're probably just on teams, like you're playing as I don't know, Leon, Claire, Jill, Chris, Ada, someone like that, and then one person plays as a villain, so you can play as like Jack Baker, Nemesis, Mr. X, and everything like that. So I'm sure after Resident Evil 8 releases, there'll also be like DLC packs where you can play as you know, like RE8 Ethan or RE8 Chris, and then there'll probably be villain packs where you can play as Lady Dimitrescu or Heisenberg or any of the villains in Resident Evil 8. So yeah, I don't know if this beta is still open, but I guess we'll see. So it says the Resident Evil Reverse beta may differ from the final product in various ways. Beyond basic gameplay information, no additional support will be offered for this application. I really hope it's still open. This reminds me a lot of the RE6 home screen. So this is in the RPD, as you can see, because the goddess statue's there. So we've got Hunk in the background, Jill obviously, creepy imposter Chris, Ada, Leon and Claire. I mean, I guess it's the next gen Chris, but I wish they'd just, like, because like all the Chris's look the same. I'd say RE1 Chris, where he's quite young, he looks a bit different, but he still looks like the same person. But RE7 Chris looks like a completely different person. And until it was revealed, like, through radio calls and stuff, that it was Chris, I didn't actually think that it was Chris. I thought that it was, like, I don't know, Claire and Chris's secret brother or something. But yeah, so let's start. I hope it's still open, please. Shit. Well, I guess this is all we have. I don't know why, like, because I didn't actually see this RE8 announcement until today. Like, it didn't come up on my feed or anything. And my feed is literally all to do with, like, gaming and stuff. So I don't know why it didn't come up until literally today. Because I downloaded this, like, 2 days ago, but I didn't think the beta period would be so short. It's usually about a week. Well, it kind of depends. There'll probably be another beta testing, and it'll just be an open testing, but it'll be at a different time. But anyway, if I don't get to play it before the game releases, then I'll get to try it out when the game releases. But yeah, this looks alright, and I actually like that instead of, like, in Resistance where you play as, like, random characters, in this you get to play as, like, iconic characters. Is there anybody missing? I think Carlos is missing. I wouldn't really expect you to be able to play as Sherry in this anyway, because she would be quite young at the time. But then that you could have just played as, like, adult Sherry, since that Chris there isn't the Chris from 1998, that's the Chris from 2017. So that's a different time Chris. But all of the characters here, except for that Chris, are in the right time period, but Chris is technically meant to be, like, still looking like Resident Evil 1 Chris, if we think about it logically. Right, let's try once more, but I'm guessing that it's definitely not. Okay, so, I mean, we've got the thumbnail. The thumbnail looks pretty cool. So does the, like, loading up screen. But yeah, we can't play it, so that's a bit unfortunate. But, I mean, at least we saw. And it makes me a bit more excited. Why does that Jill look so different to Resident Evil 3 Jill? Like, her eyes look bigger than they should be. Is that just me? Everything else on her character model looks the same as RE3 Remake, but her eyes look, like, bigger. Plus, if Jill's in this reverse thing, why isn't Carlos? Because you've got Leon and Claire and Ada and Hunk. They're all in Resident Evil 2, but why have we got Resident Evil 3 Jill and Resident Evil 7 Chris? There better be, like, different character skins. Like, you better be able to have, like, a Resident Evil 4 Leon costume, or, like, a Resident Evil Code Veronica costume for Claire and Chris, or, like, a Resident Evil 6 costume for Ada where she had her leather pants. I still reckon Hunk's, like, a person that we've played as before. But, like, because we don't know, like, anything about him other than that he's got the nickname the Grim Reaper because he always goes into missions with a team and then he's the only one that survives. I still reckon he's someone we've played as before, or at least someone that we know in the Resident Evil universe that we just haven't connected the dots to yet. Also, I'm still waiting for it to be revealed that Ethan had something to do with the Ouroboros in Resident Evil 5. There's no way that on that piece of paper, like, kind of just before the Excella fight, there was a piece of paper in that ship that had a list of names on it, and one of the names was Ethan W. There's no way that that's not connected. I'm sorry. How can there just be a random person called Ethan W, and then in 2017, like, what, how many years after? 8 years after, they make a character called Ethan Winters. But it wouldn't have been 8 years after, it would have been less than that, because obviously the production period starts way before the game releases. So I reckon they had that in mind. So I'm still waiting for something to be said that, like, Ethan has a double life too, and that Ethan, like, because I guess they didn't own that ship really, did they? They just kind of took it over. But I mean, Wesker might have owned the ship, and Ethan might have been working on it because he was a engineer. Let's search up if anyone's picked up on that, because I swear I can't be the only person that picked up on that. And at that point, when I played Resident Evil 5, I hadn't even played Resident Evil 7 yet. But I was just like, isn't the character in Resident Evil 7 called Ethan Winters? So why is there a person called Ethan W on this list of names? Apparently, that name also comes up in the Lost Nightmares DLC. I haven't actually played that yet. That's where you play through the bit where Jill and Chris go to the Spencer mansion to confront him, and then they find Wesker there. So someone said, let me just go on Reddit, a lot of people think that Ethan in Resident Evil 7 is the Umbrella scientist Ethan W listed in a file in Resident Evil 5 Lost in Nightmares DLC. Has anyone considered that Ethan Winters might be an Ethan Winters Jr., aka Ethan W's son? Ethan doesn't seem old enough to have been an Umbrella researcher during the Purge, but seems to be around at the right age to be a son of someone who is an Umbrella scientist. He seems like he's around Sherry's age, who is 31 in 2017. It would be a nice little connection between Ethan and the older games. He's Ethan W's son, named after his father. oh god, it's just turning into... There was loads of people saying that, like, it would be stupid to link that back to, like, why would... It would be, like, really unlikely that Ethan W is linked to Ethan Winters. And I don't see how that would be unlikely. And it wouldn't be a coincidence either, because obviously some of the same writers that were on the RE5 team must have been on RE7. So obviously some thought was put into linking those two. So obviously it's not a coincidence. They wouldn't just do that. Because obviously the name Ethan Winters had to be made up, but they'd already written something in their own game linked to that name before. And yeah, like it said, Ethan W is an umbrella scientist, so it would make sense that in like 2009, well, technically how long had Jill been missing? I think it was 2005 when the Lost in Nightmares DLC is based. So a scientist who has to be at least, I don't know, 30 years old at that time, in 2005, Ethan isn't old enough to be that scientist, but he could be like the son of that scientist, like they said, and he could just be an Ethan Winters Jr. And it would make sense. Like, these people are saying, like, there's no point, and it like hurts the story to link that, like, link it to the original games. But Ethan has no backstory. All we know is that he's married to Mia and that he's from Los Angeles. Like, we know practically nothing about him. What's the harm in, like, fleshing out his character? Also, what would be interesting is if, like, say if he got exposed to, like, the Ouroboros virus or something in the past, he might have antibodies to the, like, the baseline virus from what the flowers came from. Because the flowers that they found in RE5 are basically the root of all the viruses that were made. So it would be interesting to find out, like, if he got exposed to those flowers at some point, and so his body created antibodies, and that's why the mold virus doesn't, like, take over him like it does to Jack and Marguerite. Because, like, obviously they didn't have any antibodies to it, so they succumbed to the virus. So they were fully, like, taken under control by Evelyn. But what if Ethan had antibodies to the baseline virus, and so that's why the infection doesn't, like, fully take control of him. He just gained the abilities that you get from it. So he gained health regeneration, like, I guess strength. You don't really see many points in the game where he needs to have extra strength, but Mia gained, like, inhuman strength from it. She also gained regenerative abilities. So did Jack, but in a different way. So, like, he would regenerate, but he wouldn't, like, regenerate wounds so that he regained his human form. He kept getting more and more mutated as he regenerated. Marguerite, I don't think she had regenerative powers, but Lucas definitely does as well. But Lucas hasn't been infected for a long time. He got vaccinated from it. He got a cure from the Connections, because he was conversating with them, and they agreed to give him the cure to it. But to, like, act like he was still under Evelyn's control so she wouldn't suspect anything, and then he just basically gave them like, insider information about the virus's progression, and then Chris and his team at Blue Umbrella probably like found those transmissions. They probably overheard them or something, and that's exactly why they came to the Baker residence. And then they found Ethan, they found Mia. I don't know how Mia got out of the ship, because she was like there in the helicopter when they picked Ethan up. But like, did they go to the ship first? Even then, Evelyn was there with her, and Evelyn was taking her over before Mia pushed Ethan out the door. So did she like come down from her like episode, and then was she just there? Because Evelyn obviously left and came back to the house. It's really strange. There's loads of lore that all links together, but I really hope that Ethan W., that Umbrella scientist, I really hope that he's linked to Ethan, because like, it's not a coincidence. Like, if it was real life, yes, obviously there's other people called Ethan W., other people called Ethan Winters, but the fact that this whole game series, it's a fictitious piece of work, and things have to be created. So if someone created the name Ethan W. in the games and then gave him like a general character description of Umbrella Scientist, and then, I don't know, what is it, like 12 years later, that Umbrella Scientist's son gets caught up in an incident involving the Connections, who are like greatly influenced by Umbrella. So it would make sense if that was linked, and it would make sense that Ethan, if he has like more antibodies than the average person, because he was in that kind of atmosphere. But yeah, I mean, we don't know if the infections are gonna progress even more in Resident Evil 8, but I guess we'll see. But the new insight we've gotten in that little teaser trailer that they gave us just to announce the new showcase, which is on the 15th, that teaser they gave us was, we saw Heisenberg's factory, and I don't have the collector's edition, but in the collector's edition it comes with a map of the game, and it tells you a bunch of different locations. It's basically a graphic map. It's kind of 3D in some ways. It's kind of like a diagonal view of it, so you can see whether there's, I don't know, higher bits and stuff. But a part of it is called Heisenberg's factory, and the little clip we got of it, well, there was two little clips that involved the factory. One of them was like a kind of aisle that had two big like blocks at the side, and then there was like little lines that had like rows and rows of like people or bodies being transported upwards, so they were being transported like higher up into the factory. And I think it might be like a bioweapon engineering factory, because obviously over the years the like Lady Dimitrescu and her family have been feasting on people, and they have like wine cellars in the lower floors that have people in the barrels, because the blood that comes out of them turns into wine after a while, or some type of weird hybrid. I think if you leave anything to ferment long enough, it will turn into like some type of alcoholic beverage. But yeah, so they have like wine cellars, and I don't know if they eat people, but I guess they don't. I think they just, in the basements you can see a bunch of people hanging up, so I think they just kind of do what most like farms do, where they just like slit your neck and then hang you upside down. And one of the daughters was talking about that, she was like in one of the clips where Ethan's going through the hallways, one of the daughters appears and says, let me string you up, slice your jugular and just watch. So I guess they do just drain the blood out of them and then put them in the barrels afterwards to see if anything else comes out, or they might do it differently where they put like a full person in after they've done anything and then just let it ferment, or they just extract the blood and then just drink it. But I guess they don't have anything to do with the bodies, so they take it over to Heisenberg's factory and then he has all the bodies and he might be able to create BOWs with that. So like the werewolves and, you know, everything like that we've seen in all the combat parts. But yeah, we saw 2 little clips of Heisenberg's factory, one of just the overall layout of it, and then one where Ethan's walking through a corridor. And then we saw a clip of 2 of the witch sisters holding Ethan down. Well, one of them's holding him down and holding his arm out, and then one of them's taking a knife and slicing his wrist, and then that leads on to the clip of Lady Dimitrescu like sucking blood from Ethan's wrist. But that's basically all we saw from that little trailer there. Let me look at it quick. And then we just have a clip of like the beta test.
Ethan Winters.
Hey everyone, Brittany Brombacher here. Capcom's giving you a look at a new trailer and gameplay for...
Oh, there was also a clip of Heisenberg, and he had Ethan in like these handcuff things, and he was like, the handcuffs were connected to a chain, and Heisenberg was like, had the chain over his shoulder and he was dragging him. So that's probably when Ethan was still captured by Heisenberg before he escapes.
Resident Evil Village, along with a few other surprises as well.
Then a couple clips of the
meantime,
castle,
the open beta
and
for
then
Resident Evil
just
Re:Verse is
Re:Verse.
now live, so you can check it out while you wait.
Yes, it's April 15th, and I think it's at 11 in my time, 11 PM. So that was it. But I'm going to do a Resident Evil 2 Hardcore Leon A run now, because obviously there was nothing to play here. But, you know, we had a good little lore explore, and I've just voiced what my opinions of, like, the theory that Ethan W is linked to Ethan Winters. But yeah, like I said, it probably isn't Ethan W directly connected. So obviously the Ethan W isn't Ethan that we know from Resident Evil 7, but I think they're connected, so they're either like related in some way, or there's like another doppelganger situation like there was in Resident Evil 6 with Ada and Clara. Clara? But yeah, so I guess I can't play this because the beta testing period has ended like I thought it did, but I mean, it's good to see anyway. But now I'll be straight back in a minute and we'll start a hardcore Leon A run. Oh, also I need to download the DLCs first because I'm gonna use the weapons. But yeah, so thank you for watching this. I'm sorry there was no gameplay, but at least we talked about a bit of lore, and it's still kind of related in some ways because Re:Verse is the multiplayer to 8. But you know, I think they should have done something similar like they did in RE4. You know, the shooting ranges in RE4. I think it would have been cool to have like little combat arenas, just not like multiplayer, like you're not playing with any other people, but you just have like little like arenas that you get dropped into, and it's just an extra game mode. But yeah, so I'll be back in literally a second. I'm going to download the DLCs quick and then I'll start the run straight up. Okay, sorry that I couldn't play this, but you know, it ended and I only found out about it that it ended today. I thought it was gonna end like in a couple days, but yeah, I guess not. I didn't realise that the beta started so early. I thought it started like a day ago, but I guess not. So sorry for that, but I'll see you in a minute.